Hey there guys, we're taking a look at Valorant running on the Intel i5-1235U. Now this Alder Lake CPU is part of the U series of what are supposed to be the lower tier processors in the Intel stack. Now low power is relative here because the amount of power that's actually being pumped through the system is more than what we were getting even in the previous generation. Now the U series pretty much went away for the 11th generation, and it was pretty much just created into the what was essentially like the 1135 G7 and 1165 G7, where it existed in this weird middle ground where it was considered a hyper performance part and also a low performance part depending on just what the manufacturer wanted to set the TDP to. You would find actually some really budget systems that were in the $500 range that had the same i5 that you would find in some $1,500 system. So for the 12th gen, it really seems like Intel went back to the approach of just differentiating different tiers here, and now we have the U series and the P series. The U series being what is supposed to be the lower power SKU with 2 less performance cores, but we're pumping a lot of power through this system. This is actually using up more wattage than the 1135 G7 system that I had before. Now I actually don't have the gateway anymore, so I really can't do any comparative testing on it, but the level of performance that we're getting out of this system is pretty comparable to where we were at there, and it really makes sense because of the fact that the iGPU is pretty much the same. There have been no improvements in the iGPU whatsoever. This was essentially just a core increase, and I'm a little skeptical on just the 2 performance cores over having 4 of them. Now the chip is running at pretty much a very inconsistent wattage, but it seems to hover around a 20 to 25 watt TDP. Overall, you'll see that the iGPU isn't even being fully utilized here, so we're actually CPU bottleneck. The level of performance that we're getting here is decent enough at least, though I really wish that the 1% lows were higher. If we could have 1% lows that were at or above 60, I would be really happy with the level of performance that we're getting out of this right now. But overall, it is a playable experience, and if you didn't have the FPS counter, you probably wouldn't even realize those 1% lows were dipping down that low. So it is at least doable levels of performance, though I'm very curious to see what levels of TDP we're going to see from other systems with this chip, because this is a lot of heat. This is a lot of wattage being pumped through here. You know, we are generating quite a bit of heat. I mean, the temperatures are getting pretty high up there considering how thick the chassis is here. Overall, though, I'm happy to see that at least this game runs well on here. I'm curious to see if the CPU improvements end up assisting in any other games, but it really seems like the gains aren't going to be that noticeable, especially because I think that the iGPU is going to end up being a limiting factor in a lot of games. And I might actually end up upgrading the RAM on this system so that we can actually get up to 8 gigabytes, because there's going to be certain titles that are just not even going to open on here. But at least Valorant is very doable on this system right here. But anyways, that was just a quick look at Valorant running on the i5-1235U. I will catch you guys in the next one.